On today's show,
getting to play here now is like especially cool. Like being from Kansas, just like getting to wear Kansas and like still having that opportunity. Like late night is always a really cool experience, and like yeah, every day I step foot in here, I'm like I actually play Kansas. Like this is wild.
Like a Christmas movie marathon in the month of December, Kansas Sports Chatter keeps chugging along. Welcome into the show. It's a statewide high school sports entertainment show streaming on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Cole Reif. You talk about movies, like we're putting those out for the kids right now every once in a while. Like, okay, hey, you want to watch a Christmas movie? And like you're trying to go through your top ones. And they have a lot of cartoon ones still at their age. But I was trying to think of like my favorite Christmas movies. And you got the classics like Home Alone. It's a Wonderful Life. I feel like people forget about that one from time to time. No matter what they say, Die Hard's not a Christmas movie. Like, I love it. It's a great movie, but it's not a Christmas movie. Christmas Vacation would be up there. Polar Express. A lot of people have Elf. I don't know. We'll have to continue to dive into the research to find out the top 5 for Christmas movies. Big thanks to our sponsors. They got some favorite Christmas movies as well. What would Dakota's be? What would Sean's be? I don't know. Sponsors today, Meyers Enterprises. For all of your digital advertising needs, contact Meyers Enterprises. And SPX, Specialized Video Wall Solutions. Check out the website, sp-xsolutions.com. Our show today, it's a good one. The top 2 guests to begin the show, Jesiah Gooch of Hillsboro and Zane Viegra of Hayes High. They'll respond to a football-related question for our leadoff question. Jeff Wurtz, will get an update from him with the TVL Spotlight, doing great works in the TVL again. Andy Brown with Keisha Covered will have one of his stories as he covered some high school state championships earlier this fall. Bill Biermann, a Goodland girls basketball coach, will be our quality time interview. Robert Kelly, a scout for Prep Girls Hoops, will run through some girls recruits that we need to be looking out for this year in girls basketball. Shane Stout, the head coach of the KC Piper girls basketball team, will be with us, and we'll close out the show with Brittany Harshaw, a member of the University of Kansas women's basketball team and out of Andover Central originally. Let's get things started with today's leadoff question. Our leadoff question with Jesiah Gooch, a member of the Hillsboro football team. Jesiah, in your opinion, what's the hardest thing to learn or do in the sport of football?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing to learn or do is just to get everybody to buy in. It's hard to get all of your teammates to buy in all towards one goal. If you have a few guys that want to do their own thing and just not buy in with the rest of the team, then it's hard to win championships. It's hard to have everybody buy in. You have to buy in for everybody to win, because I think football is just one of the biggest team-oriented sports. Like, you need everybody to buy in to win.
For you as a leader on the team, like, what steps do you take to make sure people do start to buy in?
Yeah, I think encouraging the young guys, it starts with the freshmen. Making sure that they're having a good time, make sure that they're still working hard, but make sure that they are loving the sport and being developed by our coaches, and make sure that they feel like they're in a good place.
Any tips or advice you would give anybody as far as making sure, you're kind of a part of a team and making sure everyone's incorporated with it?
Like I said, encouragement's a big thing. Start with encouragement. Try to get guys to buy in with that, and try to be a good friend and a good leader for them with encouragement, and just trying to be around them.
When did that kind of senior advice click for you as far as learning, kind of feeling a part of the system? Like, when did that kind of settle in for you as a high school football player? Yeah,
for me, it was my sophomore year when I first started. I had a great senior class that were great guys, great teamwork. Like, they wanted to be a part of the team and they want to help the younger classmen. So I had really good leaders my sophomore year. Great guys like Xander Hazlitt, Levi Smith, two really good players that helped me become the player I am today by being really, really good teammates.
That is Jesiah Gooch, a member of the Hillsboro football team, with our leadoff question. It is our leadoff question on Kansas Sports Chatter with Zane Viegra, a member of the Hayes High football team. Zane, the question today, in your opinion, what is the hardest thing to learn or do in your sport of football?
Football is a huge team sport. You can't win with one player. You can't win with one coach or even a few guys. You always got to come together. And as a quarterback, you have to lead not just your team, but your offense especially. And I think that's just a huge part, as long as you can have a good leader, have a good, several guys and all 11 players playing, their heart out and just, every snap, every play, every practice. As long as you're going hard and, doing what you do best and just doing your role, that's the biggest thing. But, football comes with a lot of adversity too. You always ups and downs, big injuries, it's a contact sport, not many sports you can go around and fly around to the ball and, hit somebody. But, that's just another aspect in the game which makes it hard to, stay healthy and stay with your team to be able to, win those games. But yeah.
You mentioned, the leadership, like for you, like were you type of a leader that wanted to lead by example or kind of a lead by, using your voice as well? Like what kind of leadership style did you have?
Oh, I did both. I'd say, I always tried to get into the guys, whether it was in the weight room or on the field, just hyped up and ready to go and, making sure, if we're doing a play wrong, we get that right. I'll let the guys know. And also, just whether it's the little things, just running off the field, after a play or after, just one of your periods in practices, just make sure you're hustling off the field and picking guys up and, having the energy in between the snaps, not just during the snap or the play. But like I said, just having that energy is huge. That came a long way. We had a lot of energy on this team this year and a lot of good leaders, vocal leaders. And, that comes a long way with making a deep run in the playoffs and, getting wins.
Did you have any like leaders that you looked up to when you were younger, like first starting out your prep career, Zane?
Oh, for sure. Like when I was in 8th grade, even, there was Jaron Kanek. He was a senior when I was in 8th grade, and just watching him, and we always heard stories about him. And Coach Crow, our head coach, he would always tell us, the examples he held. Whether I was just in the locker room after a game, he'd be the last one out of the locker room, making sure it was all cleaned up. And that I took that for example, and even seniors before me, I always noticed there's always those few leaders that would take the time and pick up in the locker room or just do the little things right and lead by example.
That is Zane Viegra, a member of the Hayes football team, with our leadoff question. Jesiah Gooch from Hillsboro, Zane Viegra from Hayes High, answering our leadoff question today. Hey, let's check in with Jeff Wurtz. He runs the TVL Spotlights, and he has some TVL athletes and teams to highlight. Jeff?
Thanks, Cole. Before I get to why I'm here today, I wanted to congratulate the Hanover Wildcat football team on winning their state championship this year. It was an incredible season for Hanover, and they get it done in style in that state title game. This week, though, I wanted to highlight some of our girls, mainly our girl wrestlers. Emerson Fordham of Onega started her season 2-0 with a tournament win, with tournament wins over an athlete from Wabaunsee at 3:32 and an athlete from Smith Center in 15 seconds. Just an incredible day for Emerson, and has only gotten better throughout the season and will only get better throughout the rest of the season. The other athlete that I did want to speak on was Layla Coonert of Doniphan West. She earned a pair of first-round pins as well. Both are already state-ranked and probably are going to get higher and higher on that list. I may be speaking about both of these ladies all winter long.
That sweater is spot on. Like, that needs to be under my Christmas tree. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll hear from Andy Brown, one of the staff writers for Keisha Covered, as he has some of his recent stories that he wants to talk about. Andy Brown joins us next.
Whether it's a Friday night football game or a Saturday Scholars Bowl tournament, there are many people behind the scenes to make these activities function. The Kansas State High School Activities Association and the Student Advisory Team would like to thank all those who make these events happen for our students. Without school administrators, event workers, custodians, officials, transportation personnel, and office staff, these events would not be possible. Your hard work and dedication allow students throughout the state to participate in the activities that they love.
Back at it here on Kansas Sports Chatter. It's time for story time. We bring in one of these staff writers for Acacia Covered, Andy Brown. Andy, appreciate you coming on the show again. Like, for you, as we dive into the winter sports, like, do you have like a go-to season or sport that you like to cover, or do you just like all the coverage?
Oh, I like it. I like it all. I mean, there's so many different stories to tell, like in all the different sports. But obviously, growing up, I think, I'm a KU fan at heart, so basketball was always my number one sport growing up. But obviously, football is awesome, and wrestling, baseball, softball, all of it, track, I love it all. So that's kind of why I enjoy what I do. So, but yeah, basketball, I think it's probably my favorite. So it'll be fun coming up, getting to see all that.
Go time for you. I mean, going back to the weekend after Thanksgiving and seeing those state championships, you were able to cover a couple of them. Start with 4A though. Your coverage and your story on Cape and Mount Carmel, just kind of a cool experience for Cape to get that state title. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Cape was so dominant in the 70s and 80s, and made several state games, won several state titles during that span. But they hadn't won one since 1987, I believe. So they broke a long streak there. Finally was able to break through and win the title as beating Bishop Miege 56-21. But I think maybe the cooler story was seeing their head coach Weston Schartz win his first state championship after 43 years of coaching. And I just can't imagine coaching that long and getting so close on a couple different occasions like he did, and then just finally being able to see that transpire, I'm sure was awesome for him. But I think he's even more excited were his players, just to be able to do that for him. And there's a lot of emotion there on Saturday there in Emporia, and it was just really cool to see that team come together and coach being able to hoist that trophy for the first time.
Yeah, you bring up Weston Schartz. I mean, and talking to him afterwards, like, what's his personality like? And can you kind of tell, like, just the impact immediately, like, what that meant for him to be able to win it?
Yeah, he's a sweetheart of a man when you're talking to him. I don't know what he's like as a coach, but he's all about building relationships with players, and that's one of the first things he told me was after they won was, it's all about the relationships, and he loves coaching kids. He loves seeing them grow, and one of the cooler stories he told me, right after the state championship happened, kind of a little backstory. He was a head coach at Wichita West for several years. And in 1997, they were 1 point away from winning a state title then, but lost in a late game to Olathe North. But, after beating Miege, one of the first people to come down to the field and congratulate Coach Schartz was one of his former players from Wichita West, and he had tears down his eyes just,
wow,
knowing how happy he was to see his former coach win it. And, Coach teared up a little bit, he said. And, it's those relationships that will stick around forever. And that's what makes sports so cool, especially on the high school level, is, the building and the relationship building. And it's just another level. And it was really neat to see his players, just rally around him and do it for him.
I was talking to a coach earlier in the season that had played, Cape and Mount Carmel, and he just said, like, I don't know how anyone's going to touch them. I mean, that was a dominant team. I mean, they got things done in pretty good fashion too.
Yeah, and they didn't even have to complete a pass to do it. They did everything. They did everything on the ground. And Miege coach John Holmes knew that coming in. He knew they were a running attack that's mainly what they like to do. And it was frigid cold in Emporia on Saturday, and luckily I still have all my fingers from not having frostbite. But it's they just, and that's a good Miege defense that they played. And Capen just, especially early in that second half, they just, I think, scored 3 straight touchdowns and just kind of put that game away. And they did it all on the ground. Ken Huff had over 250 yards rushing. Cal Purvis had like 3 touchdowns, who's a great two-way player for them. And Wyatt Solinger, another fullback, who's I think had close to 100 yards, a little over 100 yards and a score or 2. And, they had over 500 yards rushing, and that's all they needed. They had 0 yards passing, but it was just a dominant rushing attack. And yeah, I can see why that, that was my first time seeing Capen this year, so I could see why so many teams find it hard to stop him.
Now, when you're on the sideline covering games, are you a gloves on type of guy? Because sometimes that can affect riding. Like, how do you go about covering games when you're on the sideline?
I don't like wearing them, but that night forced me to wear them because there was no way. Because a lot of times I just use it to. I'm a more of a photographer guy than.
Okay.
I mean, I keep notes on my phone every once in a while, so obviously, my fingers were stiff trying to keep notes on my phone, but yeah, it's hard taking pictures with gloves on, but you when you have to, you have to. So, but yeah, it was a cold night, but yeah, it's fun.
Well, I've noticed more and more journalists and just media people in general becoming press box, journalists and media people. Like that's where they usually gravitate to. So no shame in that.
Well, listen, we went up to the press box to warm up at halftime, and let's say I took my time getting back down there for the second half. So I might have missed a couple of touchdowns when I went back down there. But yeah, it's what you expect at this time of year, this type of weather. So
you're a smart man playing the long game. Real quickly, Manhattan, you were able to cover that Manhattan State Championship, another dominant performance as well. Yeah,
there was Olathe Northwest is a great story, and getting through that 6A East bracket and, upset special over Olathe West and Gardner Edgerton. And, it was that team under Lauren Clark really bought into what he was preaching to the guys. And, but Manhattan was just kind of, I think it's on a different level, especially that defense was just dominant as they have been all year. And then they got 2 highlight reel catches from JJ Dunnigan and that University of Miami commit. And, he kind of blew that game open, made it 20-0, I believe, right after early in the second half. And so, and then Finn Watson, a first-year starter at quarterback who was rotating with guys to start the year, and scored 4 touchdowns. So it was a dominant performance by Manhattan, but they were injury ridden earlier in the year and took them a while to find their stride. But once they hit the playoffs, they were a team to be reckoned with.
Andy, appreciate it. Good news for you. Like, no more frigid fingers, man. You're indoors for the winter season, right? Except for that walk, I guess, to the gym.
Yeah, that can be rough at times, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the indoor stuff for sure.
That is Andy Brown, one of the staff writers for Acacia Cover. That'll do it for Storytime. Here's a hard truth. If your business isn't using AI in its marketing, you've already fallen behind. But there's an advertising agency in Kansas that can get you back up to speed. That agency's name is Meyers Enterprises Media Research. The name sounds dry because the company's run by engineers, not salespeople. They use superior research and analytics that drive results with surgical precision. Marketing doesn't have to be a gritty battle in the trenches. Your business can win from the box. Visit their website, mediaresearch.agency, to learn more. Welcome back on Kansas Sports Chatter. It's time now for our quality time interview, and our guest today, good to spend a little extra time with Bill Biermann. He is the head coach of the Goodland High School girls basketball team. Hey, Coach, thanks for coming on. For you, that pre-Christmas schedule to the start of the season, like, what is that feeling? Not only getting the season started, but knowing you just have that short spurt of games before the Christmas break.
Yeah, it's exciting. I tell you, it always comes really fast. Seems like it comes quicker and quicker every year, but we always really try to, not to cliche, but take it game by game. I mean, we're really focused on early in the season, the first 2-3 weeks of practice, just getting ready for the first game, and then our whole focus goes to our topside tournament. We always have goals around our topside tournament that we host here is kind of then the next part of the season, the chunk of the season that we want to focus on. This year, that gets a little crazier as we picked up 3 more games this year, and so we made the decision to jump into a tournament in Rock Creek. At the time we were doing that, they told us these such and such teams were coming, and we said, yay, let's go. And now all of a sudden it looks more like a state tournament in December with Heston and Hayes and Silver Lake and all these great teams in it. So it'll be a real challenge, and that'll be good. So our pre-Christmas schedule, or before Christmas schedule, and the games before then, we're going to find out what we're made of here really quick.
How much fun is that topside tournament and just kind of the pride of, kind of putting that together in the number of years that it's been existing? So how much fun is that topside tournament?
Well, what's really unique and great about it is we have a community group that puts it on. Like the school, Goodland High School, doesn't even really sponsor it. My AD's on it, of course, and we facilitated the principal, and we sit on the committee too. But we just have such a great group of community members that have run that thing for 30, whatever year it is that's going now. And they put it together. They know what they're doing. I think we put a top-notch tournament together. Playing in the Max Joe's Fieldhouse is great. So it's always exciting.
You mentioned adding a few extra games so that another tournament. Were you kind of a big fan of, being able to add extra games to that schedule besides that, that 20-game schedule?
I was indifferent on it, to be honest with you. And some of that comes, like when it first came out, I'm like, okay, well, where are we supposed to go out here? I mean, I think some of that oversight or forethought should have been put into it a little bit. Like who are we going to go play and how much more increased travel time do we have doing it? Like we already go 3 hours for league contests. We're different than Wichita or the Kansas City area where they're 3 games. They're just jumping across town or wherever they got to go to. We already play our league twice and who else out here? There's not a lot of 3A, 4A teams out here. And we're not going to dip down and play 1A, 2A schedule. And so, there's that part of it. Now, it ended up being pretty good because I mentioned this Rock Creek tournament's going to be really good for us. It has travel time involved, but our 2 tournaments during the year, we host one and Colby hosts one. So our girls never really get this tournament feel before we get potentially the state tournament. So it's nice to be able to take the team out from a chemistry point and spend a couple of days together at a real tournament like that. So we're excited about it. That'll be really challenging for us this year. But as far as adding 3 more games, I don't really feel like we were beating the drum for that, I guess I should say. Sure. It's fine. If that's what they want to do, great. But certainly like how we did it, now I'm worried about, when do we get for us fundamentals, Todd? I'm looking at our preseason. Like we're going to play our topside tournament Thursday, Friday, Saturday, come back, have a Monday practice, play Scott City on a Tuesday, practice Wednesday, go to another 3-day tournament. And it's just that, early in the season, I think you're playing and you're analyzing film and you're working on things. And so that part of it kind of goes away, but also we're playing more games. So it's a wash for me.
For you, you look at that, that Christmas split of the season and everybody deals with it, but like, how do you kind of approach that? You mentioned that mad rush, a little bit different this year with that extra tournament, but how do you kind of approach that early part of the year and then you get into the meats and potatoes, come January?
Well, I'll tell you, I think we're pretty vanilla always before Christmas, to be honest with you. We don't run a lot of specials necessarily anyway, but we just really work on our core, whatever our foundational core is year to year. Most of our stuff stays intact. I adjust what we do a little bit based on personnel, but we're just trying to lay our foundational things, what we believe in, what are we really proud of, what do we put our name to a little bit. That's what we're focused on at the beginning of the year as we get after Christmas. Really, we stay in that area all the way up to the Colby tournament, Orange and Black tournament, 3rd week of January. We're pretty much in that mode. Then when we come out of that, we're trying to fine tune things more. We're more not worried about, but we're analyzing the other team a lot more at that point and making adjustments according to what they do. We're really focused on what we do and not worried about the other team so much in this early part of the season as well.
Coach, for you now going into your 8th season as head coach at Goodland, I know like rebuilding that program. Like, can you remember what it was like, that first day as far as, taking over the coaching duties there at Goodland for the girls team?
I do. Some of my former players that I stay in touch with like to remind me of, like, why aren't you doing this drill? Or, Coach, you made us do insanity. And I had all the, and I always tell them, well, I had to build a culture of hard work and expectations that time. Now I always commend them because of what you've done. Our girls now know what expectations and culture and hard work and everything look like. So I don't have to do those things that we once did. But yeah, we've come a long ways on that. And that's why I'm so proud of some of the girls in the early years. It took a group of girls. I always say it took a group of girls that wanted hard work, and honestly, a group of parents that were okay with pushing their girls. And I commend them for that, because without that, we wouldn't have done the things we did, because not everybody wants to do that anymore. It doesn't feel like sometimes. And so for them to kind of be okay with that, and maybe we lost some girls along the way as a result of that, but that core group of girls said, we're tired of losing. We're tired of this. We want something better. They knew that there was a price to pay for that. And so they were the builders. And they laid that foundation for our program, and I'm proud of them for that.
Well, what's the insanity drill? Can you explain that one for us?
Actually, it's not a drill. It's
okay.
Back 8 years ago, the insanity workout, that used to be our morning deal. Shanti, a video where you're don't even have basketballs. You're just working. We did that, and just some running and some other things in the morning. We never even picked up a basketball in our 2-a-day workouts that first week in the morning, just to kind of say we're here to going to work hard and again to develop that culture a little bit. So that's what it was. Yeah.
All right. So some of the players have fond memories, huh?
Or they don't have fun.
Or they don't have fun. Either or, huh?
Or they like to give coach a hard time about it. So they like to remind me. I have a certain player too that like to remind me that we came back and had a 2-whistle practice after we had won by 15 at a league opponent the next day. But I wasn't proud of our effort. I wasn't proud of a lot of things that happened during that game. And I was like, we won, and yet we're back running, that type of thing. But those were foundational things that we had to lay forth. So,
well, I was always told by coaches, like, after you win, that's the time to like really drill them on something, because like, after you lose, sometimes they're emotional and whatnot, but like after a win, it's a lot easier to like, play, the bad coach, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I think you just win or lose. I think it's focusing on how you played, and are the girls meeting some of those foundational expectations. If we're not going to play hard, for the girls especially, if we're not going to get along and love each other and support each other, whether we win or lose, it doesn't really matter. Like, we have certain standards that we're going to have. We're going to play with energy. We're going to work hard. We're going to support each other. And if you don't do those things, then there's consequences for that. So I think that's where we are at, some of that.
I want to name some of your stops here, and you can include any that if I leave anything out, but your stops at Santa Fe Trail, Wichita County, you kind of made that switch over to the administrative side with, with Holcomb and now at Goodland. Like, for you, like, did you always know that you wanted to coach? And then at what point do you realize, okay, I want to try more of the administrative side?
Wow. That's a good question. Yes, I always, from the time I was probably a sophomore, junior in high school, kind of knew that I wanted to be a teacher and a coach. And obviously the reasons for that is because I had some pretty incredible coaches and teachers in my life who made that possible. So I think I knew too early that I wanted to be, and I was good at math, so I became a high school math teacher. So I was going to be a high school math teacher and boys basketball coach. That's what I was going to do. And so I had the fortunate opportunity to work with my former coach, Brian Luther, out of high school at Santa Fe Trail. Great coach, a great mentor of mine, both from a professional and personal side. But and we had some great teams at Santa Fe Trail. Had some really great kids. And so I had a great run there for 3 years, working on his staff and as assistant coach. We had a 26-0 4A state championship team. The year before that, I think we came close and kind of got over a hump, but a really good 3-year run there with some great athletes. And I was young and dumb and enough to think I knew it all. And so I came back to my hometown to be a head boys basketball coach, and we weren't very good. And I thought I knew all the answers, and because of that, and we weren't very good. But it was really fun to work with a great group of kids there, similar to being not very good, and kind of working with a group of kids that wanted to do something different. And we got to the state tournament in that last year. And then the year after that, I became athletic director, and I was working on my admin degree, and then decided to give it up. I really didn't think, I always worked on my admin. I didn't think I wanted to be a principal. That wasn't part of the goal when you're 30. I took classes and just working on my master's degree was part of that. I had a young family, and then working on that, I decided, well, maybe I should give that a shot. And I interviewed for the Holcomb principal job and got it and loved it. I loved being a high school principal. And then that took me on a different career path to being the chief executive officer of financial officer of an organization called Southwest Plains Regional Service Center. Loved those 4 years doing professional development and everything across the state. Found myself in here at Goodland 15 years ago and was just the superintendent of schools. And obviously, I thought my coaching days were done, but we ran into some trouble here trying to be able to find coaches, and I had some kids playing and had worked with them on MAYB tournaments and other things through their elementary, junior high years. So obviously, they knew I was coaching and active in that realm. And my AD approached me one year about, can you help us out? And I said I would. And 8 years later, I'm still doing it. So kind of an odd journey I had from that's all I wanted to do. And then I stepped away from it. And now I'm kind of in this joint role. And really, I look at it different. I did a presentation, what the 50-year-old would tell the 25-year-old when it comes to coaching here a couple of years ago, because I think that's important. I look at things a whole lot different now than I did relationship-wise, and what the big picture is as far as this coaching thing is, than chasing state championships and other things like I was trying to do early. So,
last one for you, Coach. I always ask, like players and even coaches, like what it feels like to win a state championship. But for you and able to win those state titles back in 2022 and 23, what was it like bringing it back to the community? Because I feel like, in all towns across the state, and especially, some of the medium or smaller size, like it just has a huge impact for the community as well, that sense of pride. Like, what was it like being able to bring back a couple state titles?
It's interesting you say that, because that's what we preached so much in those years, playing for Goodland. To be honest with you, I kind of feel like our high school and our spirit and everything was a little bit broken then. Like, we needed something to cheer for. We needed something to demonstrate when you work hard and have high expectations, you can achieve. And so our community wrapped their arms around that team. I tell you, and continue to do that. They just loved watching them play. When we played Phillipsburg in that sub-state championship that year before, and the crowd there and the excitement of it and what happened when we won that against a really good team, Taryn Side scared the crap out of me.
She does a lot of people.
Right. She's a great player. But we were able to win that and get there. And yeah, what it does for a community, rural Western Kansas, probably other schools too, but that's what makes this level really exciting. 3A level. I'm sure other levels feel the same way, but you play for your community, you play for the Goodland on the chest, and when you do that, some great things can happen.
Hey, Coach, appreciate the insights, and best of luck this year.
Thank you. We got a good team this year. We're going to see what we can get accomplished this year.
We'll be excited to follow. That's Bill Biermann, the head coach of the Goodland girls basketball team, joining us here on our Quality Time interview. Are you looking for a new way to promote your business or organization? Do you want to get your message out to a statewide audience that loves high school sports in both urban and rural areas? Kansas Sports Chatter has advertising opportunities from commercials, sponsoring specific guests, product placements, and even a premier sponsorship. Let Kansas Sports Chatter promote your brand. Contact ksportschatter@gmail.com for more advertising details. That's ksportschatter@gmail.com. Come join the chatter. Welcome back on Kansas Sports Chatter. It's time for our basketball chatter with Robert Kelly. He is our next guest. He is one of the scouts for Prep Girls Hoops here in Kansas. Robert, for you in scouting, like how long have you been scouting, and what first got you interested in the field?
Well, my background has always been in high school basketball. Whether I've been an official, a coach, and now writing, for, since I was in college. So, 40 years or so, 35, 40 years. And I've always kind of wanted to be involved in a different way. I wound up getting a master's degree in sports administration at Wichita State. and that has really helped me quite a bit. And one of the things that led me to is contacting Prep Network, which is the parent company, about writing for Prep Girls Hoops. And they said, sure, how about launching our site in Kansas? So I said, okay. So December 1st, 2018, I came on board. Site went live 2019, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, a lot of good contact. If anyone hasn't checked it out already, need to do so. All right, so for you, like as you have already started the season and you've been able to see some games, who are some players that have kind of stood out to you, or just some players that people need to watch?
Well, last week I caught 3 games, and all of them in Hutchinson. Hutchinson Trinity Catholic against Central Christian, and I was told that's the first time they've played each other since 2007.
Wow.
And that was pretty neat. And one of the players I think from there that caught my eye is a young freshman from Central Christian, a young forward who I think is probably going to make some noise as she gets older and understands the game. And her last name is Huff. I'm checking my secret weapon here to.
There you go. You got data sheets and data sheets. Yeah.
Yes. Spreadsheets are my friend.
Yeah. You're busy.
Yeah, I have to. I've got probably 1,000 players on all my spreadsheets. Townsley Huff, she's a 5'11" forward for Central Christian, who I think as she gets stronger and gets in some summer play with some other colleague club, I think she can be. I think she's going to be a player to watch. I caught a great band at Andover Central. And Wilborn from Andover Central is going to be a player to really watch as well. She's pretty much the straw that stirs the Jaguar drink. Reese Wilborn is a terrific shooter, shoots it from everywhere, and just has a mature game, and she's been impactful there since she was a freshman. I also caught Bishop Carroll at Hutchinson. A freshman from Hutchinson, starting point guard, will be the first point guard that started for Hutchinson, not named Posh, in probably 8 years.
Wow.
And her name is Denai Morgan. It's 5'5" point guard. And she is very strong. She has caused all kinds of problems for Carroll. Hutch led at halftime, and honestly, from a one-on-one basis, as there really was only one, maybe 2 players on Carroll's team who could even remotely stay with her on a one-on-one basis, and she could knock it down from all over the place. Very fast in transition. I saw her run down players who had breakaways. She'll be one to watch. I also think a senior from Carroll, who I've watched for many, many years, who has committed to Washburn, is Avery McCory. I think she's been underappreciated for many years in terms of all-league and all-state honors. I've long felt her to be one of the best players in the Greater Wichita Area League. So she's definitely going to be one to watch. So those are the ones who I've seen. Brooke Stephen, a terrific point guard for Carroll, terrific on-ball defender. She was one of the 2 players who it could even remotely stay with Denai Morgan, and she'll be somebody who'll be drawn. She'll be drawing the other team's point guard defensively all year, and she's just hard-nosed and plays hard. So
Robert,
that's who I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, so like when you go out there and you're scouting, like what are some of the, like, do you have in mind like what you're looking for, or you just, sit back and enjoy the game and whatever stands out stands out?
It's one of the things I found is I look at games differently than even let's say a basketball. A coach does, a parent does, other players do. I'm looking at different things. A lot of times I'm not even watching the ball. I'm looking off to see an offside defender, how they're reacting, watching their footwork, trying to see what they're seeing. Are they anticipating where the play is going to go? I watch footwork a lot because much like shooting, if you can't shoot the ball, you're not going to play basketball at the next level. But if your footwork is poor, even if you're a great shooter, you'll never play because you have to have quick feet. And so I watch feet. That's probably the first thing I look at is feet and hustle. I like intangibles a lot. I really don't care how many points somebody puts up, how many free throws. If they knock down 7 threes, are they from the same spot all the time, or are they knocking them down from everywhere? Are they, are they among the greatest shooters in the state and have 35-foot range? There are a couple that do. Mia Hannigan from Garden City is one of those. She crosses half court, you better pay attention to her because she'll shoot it from 35 feet and draw nothing but net from everywhere. So those are just a couple of things that I look at. Attitude, when they pick up a foul or in a hard collision situation, how do they react? How do they walk to the bench? Are they engaged? Attitude matters because that can really affect your recruiting. So those are some things.
Yeah. Robert, appreciate the insight. We'll catch up with you later on in the season.
Alrighty. Sounds great. Thank you for having me.
You bet. That's Robert Kelly, one of the scouts for Prep Girls Hoops Kansas, joining us here for Basketball Chatter. SPX Specialized Video Wall Solutions. Your gym needs SPX. Welcome back on Kansas Sports Chatter. It's time to talk some basketball as we bring in our next guest, Shane Stout, the head coach of the Piper High School girls basketball team. And man, Coach, I appreciate you coming on the show. I mean, for you, you look at the start of your season, just a few games in, but what have you liked so far to start out the year?
Yeah, thanks for having me today. We've started out fairly strong. Faith McCallop, our returning first team all conference point guard, has really started the season out well, shooting the ball well. And we've had a couple sophomores hit the starting lineup for the first time this year, in Juliana Benedetto and Rania Hollingshed, and they've been solid. And then Riley Gerber is our forward. She oftentimes finds herself undersized with her matchup, but she just plays strong in the paint. She's been in our starting lineup for a couple years now, and we started with a tough schedule right off the bat. Seaman, and then played a really big Smithville team. Smithville had a couple 6'1", 6'2" girls, and then Andover, super tough Andover team. And then Shawnee Heights has got a new look this year. So the first 4 games were really kind of a brutal schedule. We thought it was a possibility that we'd be 0-4 to start the year. So to be 3-1, we really feel good about where we are, but we just need to keep getting better.
How much do you, just every year, but how much do you learn about your team, in those first week or two of the season?
Oh yeah, a ton. Especially this year where we had graduated, 4 or 5 really solid seniors. And we knew we had a few really excellent players returning, but we had a bunch of new pieces. We still have girls battling for, that starting role. And our 6-man role has kind of gone back and forth between a few of our girls. And so it's definitely been a learning process. I'll be honest. I think it's going to take us till a week of practice over Christmas break to get us to where we're real comfortable with maybe what our roles are as a team, and then kind of fine tune it as we go.
And I know everybody's in the same boat and dealing with the same things, but like, how tough is it to kind of shake off those cobwebs to start out the season?
Yeah, definitely this year as well, with Kansas adding 3 games to the schedule. So the traditional 20 games now being 23. We played Seaman on the first Tuesday night, and it typically or traditionally you couldn't play until that first Friday. So with that said, the practice schedule didn't start any sooner. We had 3 days less of practice. Tried to squeeze a jamboree in there. We had only practiced about 4 or 5 days when our jamboree came around. So it was more so of a scramble this year than any year. I know as we were going through it, I was kind of joking with a friend of mine that coaches at a school that had their boys in the state football playoffs. And he's like, well, at least you have your, 90% of your team at practice. He had a bunch of kids that were still playing football. So it's definitely a challenge to get everything you want implemented. There's still a few things that we need to get implemented that we haven't spent enough time on. And that's why I say the week over Christmas break will allow for our schedule to slow down just a little bit and allow for us to really fine tune some of those things.
The expectations coming into the season, where were those kind of set for Piper this year?
We've been fortunate to have a good run. This is my 15th year here, and we always expect to be at the state tournament. Now we have not been at the state tournament every single year, but we are confident that we've got a team that has that ability. Right now, Andover, kind of showed us that they're probably a little bit ahead of where we are at this point. And so we have a lot of work to do if we think that we're a Final Four type of squad again. And, with that said, we think Faith is the best point guard in the state. She's lighting it up right now, 27 points a game through 4 games. And that schedule was a salty 4-game schedule that she put those numbers up against. So the other girls are really just improving and taking on their roles. A couple of them double-doubles the other night against Shawnee Heights. Rania and Briley were both right there with double figures. And then a few of the girls off the bench have been shooting the ball well. So, we like to think that we have that opportunity to be a state tournament team again.
You mentioned 15 years at Piper. You've seen a lot of talent come in and through those doors there, but you mentioned a girl like Faith. What is it like coaching, a girl of that talent and just, what that does for a team?
Well, to be honest, as talented as she is and as well as she shoots the ball, she was 8 for 11 from 3 the other night. And, she'll shoot it from way beyond the arc. We had a young lady a few years ago, Allie Vigil, had played for us. She ended up playing at Central Missouri. She could just shoot the ball from anywhere. And at first, it's a little uncomfortable as a coach to just let loose of the reins. Allie, as a freshman, would pull up from 4 or 5 feet behind the arc, and we quickly realized, hey, that's a good shot for her. And the same can be said for Faith. She controls the game with her energy and effort. I mean, her quickness and ability on both ends of the floor is unbelievable. But the way she's shooting the ball right now has just really opened up her game. And as a coach, you have to just kind of let loose of the reins sometimes and trust her. And she's been playing basketball for a long, long time and understands the game just as well as anybody that I've ever coached. So it's easy to trust someone like that.
You spent some time at Liberal High School. What was that switch like, going from the far west side of the state now to the far east side of the state?
Yeah, we had a good time at Liberal too, and had some good squads. Really enjoyed my time there, and the road trips out and the Western Athletic Conference. I'll be honest, the main difference is the road trips here. Where I'm sitting right here in my classroom, it's about 6 miles to Baser High School, and it's just right up the road to Lansing, and so. The first thing I noticed 15 years ago on the very first bus ride was I got in with my coaches and I start telling one of my long stories, and I couldn't get through it because we're already at the other, when you're at Liberal, you spend all that time together on a bus and a lot of travel and those kind of things. But they really take their sports seriously out there. Really, really enjoyed the years that I had there, and the people that I worked with, and a few of those young ladies actually live up in the KC metro area, and we still cross paths.
Hey, Coach, appreciate your time. Best of luck the rest of the year.
All right. Thanks for having us. Thanks for covering high school sports.
You bet. That's Shane Stout, head coach of the Piper girls basketball team, and we'll have more of the show right after this.
Referees and game officials are a vital part of high school athletics. These men and women take time out of their lives to ensure a safe and fair environment for student athletes. As you attend sporting events this year, keep in mind the hard work and dedication of the officials. Respecting officials and authority figures is one of the most valuable lessons that we can teach our students. The Kansas State High School Activities Association and the Student Advisory Team would like to thank all those who take the time to officiate our competitions.
Welcome back on Kansas Sports Chatter. It's time for our next level of talent segment, an opportunity to talk to former high school athletes from Kansas that are now competing at a college or university in the state. Today's guest, Brittany Harshaw, a member of the University of Kansas women's basketball team and out of Andover Central High School. Brittany, thanks for coming on the show. What's the campus lifestyle like for you right now in Lawrence? Is everything going well?
Right now we're in finals, so there's a little more stress academically, but we're getting there. We're close.
How do you balance that? So, being an athlete, but also obviously paying attention to the academics.
Yeah, it's definitely not for the weak. We have class and then go to practice. We have to be focused for both class and practice. So after that, once you get to go home, it's definitely a relief to just relax for a little bit.
Well, go back to your Andover Central days. What stands out and what memories do you have of competing for Andover Central?
Probably just Stana, our head coach was Stana Jefferson. She made it super fun for us always. I remember after all of our home games, we would always go to IHOP or just go somewhere to eat with the team after. So we always kept it fun. It was very relaxed and just a fun atmosphere. So it was definitely a good time.
Did you always like basketball growing up? At what age do you feel you kind of really got hooked to basketball?
Yeah, both of my parents played in college, and my dad was actually the coach for Andover High School, the men's basketball team. So I kind of grew up going to their practices and always liked basketball when I was little. I think I started when I was probably 5, kindergarten, and then just kept going, fell in love with it, and yeah.
Well, you mentioned both your parents playing, collegiate basketball. How much of an influence was that? You mentioned, but also did you get any, what advice did you take from those two growing up?
Yeah, it was definitely a cool opportunity to have them and have them as role models to just kind of help me through the process and through the highs and the lows of everything that, comes with playing a sport in college or even in high school. So yeah, it was definitely cool to have them. And yeah, they just rubbed off on me and fell in love with basketball.
It's worked out really well. I mean, you were named the Ark Valley Chisholm Trail League Player of the Year back in 2022. What was it like playing in that conference? What was the competition like in high school?
I feel our team, we had a lot of people who got to play at the next level, whether it was a big school or small school. So our team always, I feel we meshed together really well and we're able to win a lot of games. So I think we usually won our conference, and then state, we never got the state title, but we went to state.
Well, you did get some state accomplishments in other sports. 5A state high jump champion, like back in 2022 as well. Like, how much did you like high jump and track?
Yeah, that was kind of just like my friends are doing it, so might as well like get something to do. Like I could never like sit still. Like I'm not the type of person to just like not do anything. So I did track and then high jump. Like my first couple of years trying it, like I was not that good. Like I could never get the form right. And then like junior and senior year it started to click a little bit, and I was able to win. So it was a cool experience.
Well, I mean, for you starting out at Creighton and then now transferring over to KU last couple of years, like what went into your decision to come to the University of Kansas?
Definitely like the coaching staff. Like I feel like they're very personable, and I was able to connect with like all of them, especially like Brandon from, everyone on the assistants, and also kind of just like the atmosphere. Like I feel like it's very like family culture. Like everyone here like genuinely like cares about you, and like it's just like good to be around, I guess.
You mentioned Coach Schneider, Brandon Schneider. What's his personality like? What's his style like?
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Like he's funny. Like he'll crack jokes, and like he keeps it real, and yeah, he cares about you a lot. He cares about his players, so he always wants the best for us, and yeah, he's always rooting for us.
Allen Fieldhouse, that experience of just playing there for your home games. So what was your first reaction like when you first stepped foot at Allen Fieldhouse, and then also your first game there?
Yeah, like I had gone to, I think, a couple games like when I was little, just like being from Kansas, and I would like tell my dad like, this is crazy. Like the atmosphere is like insane. Like, well, we would only go to the men's games, but just like even that experience was like, I was like, this is wild. Like I've never experienced anything like this before. And then just like getting to play here now is like especially cool. Like being from Kansas, just like getting to wear Kansas and like still having that opportunity. Like late night is always a really cool experience. And like, yeah, every day I step foot in here, I'm like, I actually play Kansas. Like this is wild.
That's pretty cool. Like, what's the depth perception as a shooter at Allen Fieldhouse? Because, I mean, every gym you go to, it's a little bit different. They might have a backdrop, but, Allen Fieldhouse, I just feel like you got miles and miles of fans, in that background looking at the basket. Like, what's the depth perception like?
Yeah, people like say that it's a shooter's gym. So, I mean, I feel like I don't really notice just because like we practice in there and play in there like all the time. So I'm used to it, but I would say it's good.
Yeah, okay. It's worked out well. Hey, Brittany, appreciate your time. Best of luck the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
That is Brittany Harshaw, a member of the University of Kansas women's basketball team and out of Andover Central High School, part of our Next Level Talents. Are you a person that's always on the go? You can still easily keep up with Kansas Sports Chatter with the audio podcast. Hear each episode on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to follow the Kansas Sports Chatter podcast. Another show winds down. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Help out Kansas Sports Chatter. Check us out on social media as well. Thanks to the sponsors, Meyers Enterprises and SPX. We will get back at it on Thursday for another episode of Kansas Sports Chatter.